as well, because I need to post it on Facebook after that. Okay, now so the
Sounds good.
recording is starting, and now I will be going live on Facebook. Okay. Okay, I think we should be live. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the 56th edition of Sofia Crypto Meetup. We have a very special guest today, the co-author of the Mastering Blockchain book, which looks super interesting to me. We can't see it.
It's all good.
But
I'll fix that.
Yeah, and he will be joining us just in a few minutes. He's actually with there is a book.
There you go. Cool. Okay.
Super cool book. I actually looked through the contents and it looks super interesting. I think it's could be very useful for both newbies and more advanced users of crypto and blockchain. But before jumping into our discussion with Lorne, I will go through the usual partnership, or sorry, not partnership, but partner announcements or sponsorship announcements, and a few pieces of news as well. And let me share my screen now. Okay. All right, so let me just put this on full screen. And this is, okay, so here we are. And as I mentioned, a few minutes for the sponsors. So the first one is Nexo, and it was a really, really big month for Nexo, I must say. They had three quite major announcements. So the first one was the Nexo exchange, where you can go and trade more than 75 crypto and fiat pairs with instant execution and a fixed price. I haven't tested this yet, but it kind of looks like the logical thing to do if you are Nexo. And then they also announced this $20 million buyback program, which is actually they're buying back Nexo tokens. They have started to do that. And all of these Nexo tokens are going in this investor protection reserve, which is a public Ethereum address, and anyone can go there and see how many tokens have actually been bought back. And this is gonna run for, I think, 12 months, could be extended. And the $12 million in Nexo tokens after that might be spent on various different programs, including additional rewards for users. And I'm referring actually to this dividend payments that Nexo is doing, but they can use it for a number of other things as well. And the final thing, which is also super interesting, is that Nexo did a partnership with Ledger Vault, and Ledger, the hardware wallet company. So they are trying to boost their insurance with that move. The total insurance of their portfolio is now at $375 million. And they are looking to increase that in 2021 to $1 billion. And actually, the current assets under management for Nexo is more than 4 billion. So Nexo is really growing, and yeah, as one of them, I'm actually it's one of the few worldwide popular companies coming from Bulgaria. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with their success. And you can see the price is always also doing quite well. It went from $0.8 or 80 cents to more than $2.40. So currently, I think it's about $2 something. So that's a pretty decent increase for just like a span of 30 days. And the other thing that I would like to share is that BitHope, so the BitHope Foundation managed to donate 22,000 Bulgarian leva, or about almost $40,000, $14,000 to the Autism Today Association. And you can see me here receiving an interesting painting done by the children from this center. And actually, the money will be will be used for the rebuilding of a center for children who need this special care in the city of Burgas. And another good, like, great announcement is that Nexo actually donated 0.22 Bitcoin to another BitHope campaign, which is dedicated to the our Olympic teams in natural sciences. And the campaign is already there. So if you're interested, you can go send some Satoshis. All Satoshis actually help. And I know that the Natural Sciences Olympic Teams Association is for now decided to keep their Bitcoin. So hopefully, yeah, those guys, they should be pretty smart. So they're keeping their Bitcoin. I guess, yeah, they're also hoping for price appreciation there. And talking about price appreciation, let's look at the chart of Bitcoin that yeah, we always go through during our Sofia Crypto Meetup events, and you can see Bitcoin has done really, really, really well. And that's the interesting thing. This little peak here, what is, like, in June 2019, or yeah, is looked really, really large. But once Bitcoin starts doing its thing, and once we enter a bull market, yeah, this peaks, like, really doesn't look that impressive anymore. And the next peak is what kind of takes the attention of the viewer. And the same thing is kind of happening with Ethereum, although the graphic doesn't look as impressive, but I think it's still yeah, pretty yeah, I would call it beautiful. So hopefully, yeah, we can go even higher here from here for Ethereum. And then just quickly through the February headlines, and we didn't ask you, the community, for yeah, what are the biggest news, because I think they were kind of obvious in this case. We'll make sure to ask you next month. But for yeah, for this time, let's go through these centrally determined pieces of news. So the first one is the huge or the large price correction of Bitcoin and actually Ether. Well, actually, everything went down, including some of the DeFi blue chips and other projects. So yeah, you know the news. There was a like 17% correction, which happened yeah, this week, a few hours. Well, yeah, a few hours ago. And yeah, but the Bitcoin price went to almost 45,000 at one point. Currently, it has managed to gain some ground and is almost at 50,000. But I think what's more interesting is what happened to Ether, because the price there went down by more, by 23%. And actually on one exchange, which is Kraken, it reached $700. So there was a flash crash there on Kraken. And a number of users are obviously not very happy. I guess on the other side, there are a number of users who are very, very happy because they were able to buy Ether at $700. Unfortunately, I was not one of those users, But so that's why it's good to have an open order on Kraken or actually on any exchange for a very, very low price of an asset, and just pray for a flash crash. Yeah, some people are yeah, definitely did pretty well with that Kraken flash crash. And actually, all this led to, I think, about $130 million of in liquidations in DeFi, which is yeah, quite a significant amount, but as a percentage of all value locked in DeFi, which is about $40 billion, it's not that significant. I would call it a small stress test, which is kind of taking care of some excessive greed that is currently happening in DeFi. Then the second piece of news, Tether's settlement with the New York Attorney General's office. This is really, really a major news for me because the Tether FUD has been around for more than 5 years. And yeah, some of the Bitcoin's critics have always pointed out Tether as yeah, one of the like biggest systemic risks for Bitcoin. Well, more specifically for Bitcoin's price. I also think that Tether is could be accepted as a systematic or a system risk as a point of centralization in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Actually, not only for Bitcoin and in Ethereum as well. But I think that no matter what happens to Tether, Bitcoin will recuperate after a shock. But actually, this is good news because you know it's kind of putting an end, or at least partial end to Tether's FUD, because now I can see that proponents of this Tether theory are considering the fact that there are still no audits performed or publicized coming from Tether and Bitfinex. So we're waiting for that next. But the good news is that Tether will have to submit these quarterly reports to the New York Attorney General's office in the next 2 years. So it's interesting to see what the contents of those reports will include, and hopefully those include some proof of reserves. But yeah, I would say that the Tether FUD is about 80% killed with this piece of news. And finally, this well, the more entertaining piece of news that we selected is Beeple's auctioning on Christie's. And Beeple is this artist who managed to create a piece of art, well, some kind of painting, I guess, for each day in the past 13 and a half years. Each day he was creating something new, and then he put all of these pieces together into this collage that will be auctioned off at Christie's, which is one of the most popular auctioning houses for art worldwide. And this is the first pure digital art piece that will be auctioned there. It will be in the form of an NFT, and it kind of, I think this is something like a wake-up call, I would say, for the potential of NFTs to really to really kind of take over the Ethereum blockchain in specific, but really to kind of push the public, the general public, towards blockchain, because like through the medium of art. And I think more and more people are getting interested in NFTs, and with that, interested in blockchain technology and what opportunities it presents to artists. And I'm referring to not only digital artists in terms of like painters, but also music artists, I think, are also getting interested in this. There were a couple of major announcements by big names from the music industry who are looking into how to kind of use NFTs to promote their art. Okay, so with all that said, now we can jump to the main part of today, of this Sofia Crypto Meetup, and that's our discussion with Lorne Lantz, who co-authored this beautiful book called Mastering Blockchain. So let me stop my screen from stop the share. There we go. And say hello to Mr. Lantz. Hi.
I've been practicing this with some of my Bulgarian friends. Zavete.
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna kill me. Okay, okay.
It's Dravete, but yeah, we appreciate the
Dravete.
efforts
Yes.
as
All right.
usual. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to be here. Happy to be here.
So yeah, so from I actually went through the book. I went through the chapters, and it seems quite interesting. Uh, I will start with the general questions though first, the
Sure.
most general question there is, and that's so when and how did you get into Bitcoin, or was Bitcoin like the first thing that you got interested in, or was it Ethereum, and so on? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit of an OG. I lived in Silicon Valley from 2012 to 2015. I was working on a wallet back then, like a payments wallet, and the guy sitting next to me in the co-working space, one day he was like, "Hey, you want to come to the meetup?" I'm like, "What meetup?" He's like, "Bitcoin." Well, what's that? This is summer of 2012, and it was the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. So back then, it was like Brian Armstrong, um, Charlie Shrem was there, like Roger Ver, like all those
Nice.
guys. It was like the second month of Coinbase. They were just starting YC. They announced like, "Oh, we just got a bank account," and Roger Ver was like the marketing guy for BitInstant, and they were like just starting to take off. And I'm standing there and I'm like, who are these guys with their like crazy money and like, this is crazy. I was like developing on PayPal APIs, and I'm like, this is crazy stuff. Like, it's interesting and fun to watch, but I wasn't going to put my money into it. And back then it was like $4. And then kind of, yeah, it's crazy. And then over the years, it was like, all my friends were in the industry, like just doing whatever Bitcoin startups. And in 2014, I got connected with O'Reilly Media. And they asked me to put together a series of videos, educational content. And they also asked me to be the tech editor for the book, Mastering Bitcoin. That's the Andreas book. So that was in 2014. Yeah, and even then it was like, okay, got some money from O'Reilly. I moved to the Philippines, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a Remin startup. So I wasn't even like, it was more like it was the industry just kept pulling me in. By 2017, it was the Remin startup kind of ran out of money. And I had it was the next the next boom, the next bull market. So I had like investors throwing money at me. They're like, "Hey, Bitcoin, like go invest for us." Okay.
Nice. Yeah, the crypto space is really absolutely unique.
Yeah.
I cannot really personally compare it to anything else. I haven't been part of a more exciting space. Maybe there was at some point in a more exciting space, possibly the internet boom, let's say, of the 90s. Kind of felt like that, but really crypto is unique because it's also about assets. So assets living on a new type of infrastructure, moving around, new kinds of business models, of like ways to implement blockchain. And with that, are you interested more in like crypto, or are you interested more in blockchain, or both? Like, why would
Um,
you think that blockchain is like, what is so revolutionary about blockchain, in your opinion?
well, I try to see it as like from a very high level, just because I've been around so long. I've built, I've done so many crypto projects already, so many blockchain projects. I built a payments wallet. I built one of the first POS systems to accept Bitcoin. I
Mhm.
built trading tech, arbitrage bots, the sort of the whole gamut. Now we're building blockchain analytics tools.
Mhm.
Um, and so I try to see it from the entire industry. And the way I see it, I always try and compare it to like how the internet was,
Yeah.
because everyone's lived through that. We all kind of understand it. And so the way I see it is like blockchain is the technology, just like the internet is like new technology connecting, all these networks and computers together. So we have this blockchain. Um, and then it's kind of like, back then with the internet, everyone would just go out and make their own websites, some kind of service on top of these websites. The same thing now, right? Everyone's using blockchain technology and going out and building, either some new type of network or their own blockchain, or, like compound protocol, like a
Mhm.
lending service. Like there's just so many. It's kind of like we have this brand new technology and everyone's just going out and trying to figure out, well, how
Yeah.
can it improve our world? It was like that
Mhm.
back with the internet.
Mhm.
Like back in 1999, there was a website called 6 Degrees. That was the very first social network, but it was too early. It
Yeah.
wasn't until you have like faster, mobile and faster. You need broadband. You know,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
there was like pets.com, if you remember that whole story, right? They were still a little early too.
Yeah.
Eventually, like Amazon, got it right. So
Mhm.
it's sort of the same thing that I see is happening now. It's we have this new powerful disruptive technology, and
Mhm.
it's a race for
Yeah.
all these entrepreneurs and innovators and investors to go
Mhm.
out and find, what problems can these technologies actually fix and improve and solve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that said, so do you think that if like the irrational exuberance of 2017 is now over and we're entering a new phase of, well, some people actually call the current boom or current bull market rational exuberance. Do you think this is so, or do you think that the infrastructure is or the apps that are currently being developed are still not there yet? Because in 2017 with the ICO boom,
Mm.
like these projects were promising the world and the stars to investors, and things that they were absolutely it was absolutely impossible to develop at that point. But do you think that the apps that are coming out today are better equipped or better prepared to actually possibly enter the mainstream, or at least partially enter the mainstream?
Sure. So I think there's two questions there. One is around, is this a real bull market? And
Yeah.
the second is, is this very different from 2017 with the new type of technologies that are out? So I'll start with the whole bull market and price. And if you look back in history, I mean, I've personally already lived. This is now my third bull market that I'm living through.
Yeah.
But there were really four. Like
Hmm.
back in early 2012, the price went up from $4 to 24, and it
Yeah.
crashed down with the whole Bitcoinica hack.
Yeah.
Then in 2013, you have what was it?
Mount Gox.
Mt. Gox, yeah, and their Willy bot, pushed the
Yeah.
price up from $80 to 1,200, and then
Yeah.
crashed back down again. That was sort of a 6-month cycle.
Hmm.
And then 2017 was the whole ICO craze, from pretty much $800 to 20,000 back down. And so now we're kind of, the bull market officially starts when it reaches a new all-time high, which is 20,000, which was in December. And yeah, I think we're still like early on with where the bull market is.
Yeah.
But but the key thing here is to look at all those previous bull markets.
Yeah.
Because crypto, blockchain, crypto, the whole industry is unique in that way, which is, you know, with the internet, it was one big bubble that lasted like years, you know, and then just eventually popped. With crypto, it's a series of like smaller bubbles that progressively get bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just in that natural cycle. And the thing is, there's got to be like some sort of instigator to the next, you know, bull market bubble that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, you know, 2017, yeah, it was, a lot of it was like Ethereum, ICOs. It's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, ICOs, all that stuff. And like actually scammers, a lot of scammers, and that whole world kind of drove it.
Yeah.
As well as, well, there are other factors too.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I see driving this is very different. And this is where you sort of speak to the fundamentals. So the main narrative that we hear, there's two main narratives we hear with this cycle, with this bull market. One is with the pandemic. All these countries around the world are printing money, you know, all these stimulus packages.
Yeah.
For the first time in history, this now proves the value proposition of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You know, before these stimulus packages, it was always just people saying, oh yeah, I remember the financial crisis, 2009, they were printing money, horrible people. We don't trust banks. Everyone's like, yeah, whatever, it's in the past, we don't care anymore. But now it's happening. Now you're feeling it, right? The US dollar is devaluing. Look, Joe's gonna be printing $1.9 billion soon.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
So that's like the entire world is feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have this alternative of Bitcoin. Nope, 21 million, never going to print anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that value proposition is starting to be realized. That's the first thing. And the second thing is institutions, you know, there's been a lot of laws that were passed in the US and around the world that make it easy for banks to deal, like it's legal for banks to hold custody of crypto. And there's been, you know, a lot more acceptance. And so now you have institutions buying. And when institutions buy, you know, they buy a huge lot, like as you just said in the news, and they don't necessarily trade it. They buy it and then throw it in cold storage.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's reducing the supply. This is a whole supply game.
Yeah.
And so that's how I see this, you know, overall bull market. And it's you know, it's going to last probably the whole year. Who knows?
Yeah. Actually, this fits almost perfectly with my ideas about what's happening and what is causing the bull market. And yeah, I like what you said about the Bitcoin value proposition now being realized by more and more people. Actually, in our Sofia Crypto Meetup group, I'm accepting more than 20 people per day. Well, I mean, on average, let's say 10, 15 people per day being very interested in this or wanting to trade crypto or wanting to learn more about crypto. Yeah, there's a lot of people like it really resembles what was happening in 2007. Sorry, 2017.
2017, yeah.
Yeah, when we were doing the Sofia Crypto Meetup physically, we had like more than 100 people coming to the venue, like people in the corridors, like trying to hear what we're talking about. So this kind of like in terms of yeah, hype, I can feel it by more people coming into the Sofia Crypto Meetup group. And by the way, I also yeah, I kind of went through three of these bubbles because I kind of joined the space in 2013. So it was yeah, so it was really a wild ride for me
Right.
since there. Okay, so with that in mind, with all these people joining in, I guess they need to be educated. And of course, we're trying to do that, like the more like the older guys in Sofia Crypto Meetup, the veterans that these have been through at least one bubble.
Yeah.
But when it comes to education, I guess this was kind of like one of the reasons why you you did the mastering blockchain book, but like what is the other, or is there another reason behind that?
Well, the main reason goes back even to the early days of like 2012. It's just going to so many house parties, and people are like, oh, you do something with Bitcoin? What does this mean? And they got like totally wrong information that they read, because what do people do? They go to Google and they're like, what is Bitcoin? What does this mean? And they just go around in circles. They eventually end up on some website that's trying to sell them a token.
Yeah.
It's so that's one really big problem, is there's so much misinformation, disguised as a sales pitch.
Yeah.
Or sales pitch disguised as, misinformation of what blockchain is. Another thing is, it's, even if you look back at videos from like 1995 of what is the internet, they're like, oh, it's that thing with the connecting universities. It's the same story, right? It's very technical. It's not until like somebody started using eBay, or somebody was able to track their packages on FedEx, that they finally understood what does the internet mean to them. It's the same thing here, like right now, what does that mean? Bitcoin, okay, well, I see people are making money from it, but what else is there? What else? There's blockchain, okay, it's very technical. And unless you're an engineer, unless you can code and start getting into it, it's intimidating, it's overwhelming, and people are just following the hype. So we, for us, Daniel and I, it was funny, like a couple of years ago, Riley said, oh, they want to get back into blockchain. And we were trying to introduce him to some people, and we realized, like, God, there's even the publishing house is having trouble figuring out like who's telling, who knows their stuff or who doesn't. So we're like, we just gotta, create a book that's very holistic, like the entire industry. And it's written more as a Bible. So like somebody who's new to the space, we have stuff on trading, we have stuff on like all the nefarious stuff, the history of Bitcoin, Ethereum, like everything. It covers the whole, what is a private key? It gives you the language of, you and I, we've been in the space so long, what a private key is, what a hash is, but you know what a DEX is, but for somebody who's new, it's overwhelming. So these are like the core things we wanted to do to, give people very fact-based education on what the entire industry is.
Yeah. And when I look at the contents, it's actually pretty recent. And this is a major advantage, I would say, because some of these older books are kind of not taking into consideration, for example, DeFi. And I see that there is a chapter focused on that. And yeah, this kind of relates to the point where like people start to understand what a new piece of technology is once they are able to touch it. And I think for me, this is exactly what DeFi is doing, and to a certain extent also NFTs, but definitely DeFi is kind of, I think it currently has some pretty solid value proposition. At least some of the applications being built there. But yeah, what would you say for DeFi? Do you find it exciting, or do you think that this is really the future of crypto, of like public blockchain applications?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I agree. Like it is the future. It's just it's kind of like right now it's just a crack in the wall, like a small little crack. And as Ethereum gets better, some other blockchains get better at supporting, the DeFi ecosystem, that crack will get bigger. And the banking world, the financial world has no idea what's coming to them. So I think that's one thing. The other thing that's interesting is if you listen to different, like if you listen to like CNBC, conversation on CNBC, all they talk about is Bitcoin. They barely even talk about Ethereum. So they're still just focused on Bitcoin. You know, to us, Bitcoin is like already that's so old.
Yeah.
They're not even mentioning DeFi yet. So like DeFi is kind of like where, I don't know, ICOs were in like 2016, you know, even before the craze. Like it's still so early with DeFi. And it's probably a small number of like, you know, the early users of crypto are in that world innovating because they see that's going to probably be the next big thing.
Yeah.
But an interesting story, something that you triggered my memory on was how things are moving so fast and how other books are, you know, they don't even mention DeFi because DeFi is still really recent.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is when we wrote this book, we wrote it over 2 years. We started writing it February of 2019. We finished in November. When we started writing it, Uniswap did not exist.
Yeah.
About 2 months before we gave our first draft, which was a year later, Uniswap 1.0 came out a few months prior. And I just kind of threw it in at the end. We just kind of threw it in like, you know, in the last month.
Yeah.
By the time we finished the book, Uniswap version 2 is already out.
Yeah.
You know, and Uniswap, by now the book's already out and Uniswap version 3 is around the corner.
Yeah.
So we kind of saw like, this is a scary thing. You know, like you write stuff in there and it's going to be obsolete a few months later.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of, you know, books suffer from. So our approach to that was, no, we're actually not going to put a lot of tutorials in there. We didn't really put nearly as much code as most technical books have because we know that code's going to become obsolete.
Yeah.
So instead, the way we saw it was, hey, these are like experiments. What are the lessons? What are the learnings from those experiments? And we wrote about that. You know, we kind of went through, oh, this is how they created Uniswap. Here's a piece of the code. And this is the new innovation from it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that kind of writing makes the book more timeless.
Yeah. No, that's really great. And yeah, if you need to include all of the newest information in a piece of content and get it finalized, it's in a matter of hours, it's already outdated. Like maybe not hours, but
Exactly.
like days. Like this space is moving so fast. Yeah, that's interesting. And you mentioned that you are also well heading a project which is doing some blockchain based analytics. Can you tell me about like what is the goal there? Like who is the user of like of these services and what is the service actually about?
Sure. So the backstory is in 2018, I was scammed on an ICO. My family and I, we lost money. Kind of
Ah,
a common story, right?
okay.
Okay, so
Are you
so
do you feel comfortable mentioning the name of the ICO?
sure, why not? Formosa Financial. It's out of
Uh,
Taiwan.
okay. Okay, I think I've heard it, but never like
Really?
looked into it.
Okay.
Okay. And you
So
decided to, so you and your family decided to kind of bet on it and you lost money.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was actually an employee in the company.
Ah,
So
okay.
I kind of, you know, I also saw this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how things went.
Yeah.
It wasn't just I was an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyways, after the event,
Yeah.
I wanted to put together an investigation and get evidence of like, hey, where did the money go? Because you know it's every transaction's public on the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the incumbents, you know, like Chain Analysis, Elliptic, CipherTrace. I was like, hey, can I use your tool to put together this investigation? And the response I got back is, oh, it's $30,000 a year license fee. Sorry, it's only for law enforcement. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, what the, you know,
Yeah.
screw this. I'm going to build this tool myself and make it publicly accessible so that nobody
Mm-hmm.
ever has to be in this situation like I am.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 2 years ago. And I started working on it for, you know, I've been working on it on the last 2 years. And originally it started off as, you know, wanting to protect investors. But as we started, building out the tool, we realized, hey, it's not just like retail people like you and I that don't have access to this tool. It's also like smaller exchanges. Maybe an e-commerce store that accepts Bitcoin. They're not going to pay $30,000 a year for like these tools to, because they need it for like, to keep their licenses or to accept Bitcoin legally in their country. So that's who we're really building it for. We see it as like, right now, all these incumbent tools like Chainalysis, they're kind of like the Rolls Royce. They got all the bells and whistles and you pay a high price, but only 5% of the people who need it can actually afford it. And we're building like the Subaru,
Nice.
so
yeah.
So we're providing the tool at an affordable price, but still it's got everything you need to get from point A to point B. Like, do you really need reverse doors? Like,
Interesting. So what can you do with that tool? For example, if I get scammed, because there were a number of people who are like approaching me and saying that, for example, somehow, for example, their MetaMask wallet was hacked, and unfortunately they kept large amounts in this wallet, and not using a hardware wallet through MetaMask, but just like their hot wallet on MetaMask. And so what can they do? Actually, they can, with that tool, like what can they do?
Well, the tool won't get you your money back. What it will do is tell you, it answers the question, where did the money go? Or where did the money come from? So if you got hacked, yeah, the tool will make it very easy to show, like in graphical format, hey, the money started from your wallet. Okay, and now it's in this wallet here, or in this address. And then from there, usually at some point, hackers need to convert the funds into fiat, which means they need to put it through some sort of exchange. And the real challenge here is it's about speed. Like you need to, the hacker, at some point, if it's a large sum, they need to convert those funds into fiat on some exchange, withdraw the funds. And for the person trying to recover the funds, you need to inform the exchange as soon as possible. Now, the exchange won't work directly with individuals. What you need, exchanges will work with law enforcement, subpoenas. So there are companies that are popping up now where they'll provide this service for you, where they'll do the investigation. They're already connected to law enforcement, because depending on the jurisdiction you're in, most police forces are incompetent, or they don't even know what Bitcoin, like they don't even know what crypto is, or any of that stuff, because it is such early days. So
well, the thing is that some of these attackers sometimes use these mixing services. And can something be done about that? Or basically the user is informed that like the ether went to that mixing service. And from there, I mean, it's more or less, I guess, cannot be tracked further from there, right?
Right. It really depends on the sophistication level of the attacker. Some people that steal money, they're not technical, so they wouldn't know to put the funds through a mixer. They wouldn't know how to use like a tornado.cash, or how to use all those Bitcoin mixers like Samurai Wallet, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, if it goes through a mixer, like that's it. You can't, mathematically, it's pretty much impossible to know where the funds went.
Yeah, interesting.
But some of the hackers, they're pretty technical. They'll figure it out. But ICO scammers, they're maybe not as technical. So
and also these guys who kind of encrypt the data on your computer, and from there like extort you for an amount of Bitcoins. I guess yeah, those guys might be less sophisticated. Um, yeah, interesting. Hopefully, yeah, people get a bit more concerned with security and start using hardware wallets. But hardware wallets also have some attack surface that for large amounts could be exploited. And this is what actually happened recently, I think, with the co-founder of
Mm,
Nexus Mutual. He was
okay.
hacked through their like the transaction that he signed with his ledger device was modified, and he was unaware of that. So there is
Oh, wow.
also this sophisticated way to attack this high net worth individuals, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm actually a bigger fan of like Trezor hardware wallets.
Okay.
I find them more useful. And actually, the Trezor was the first hardware wallet that I owned.
Mm,
Yeah. So I have a question here from someone from the audience, like because we kind of
great.
touched upon the NFT topic, but do you think that NFTs are interesting, or like do you think it's they'll continue to grow, or they're just like a fad that will go away?
Certainly. I mean, NFTs have been around for a while,
Mm-hmm.
since 27. Yeah, like CryptoKitties. I mean, they were
Yeah.
really the first ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but back then it was like, it was still very limited. I think now we're starting to hit an inflection point where it
Mm-hmm.
might actually hit retail. And the one that I'm most excited about is NBA Top Shots.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, the
Like,
one that you have a moment, just like you're buying a moment.
yeah, but the key thing is, like NFTs before that, even months ago, like you need to use MetaMask, you need to do it through a whole
Uh-huh.
uh and so now you have two things, because the whole goal is to expand the group of people that can access NFTs and purchase it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I see in NBA Top Shots.
Mm-hmm.
If you look it up, you can actually go and pay with your credit card.
Ah, I didn't know that actually. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. If you go through the process, I did it a couple days ago just to check it out.
Hmm.
You can actually buy, an NBA moment, a trading card with your credit card.
Hmm.
Of course, they have like ETH, or they have their own blockchain, um, called Flow.
Ah, okay.
So
I thought that's on Ethereum, but it's not,
no,
or
no. So CryptoKitties, the company that made CryptoKitties, they took an exit from CryptoKitties. They just got fed up with the slowness, and the
mm-hmm.
gas prices
Yeah.
of Ethereum, and decided to create a blockchain. They've been working on this for the last couple of years, last year or two.
Mm-hmm.
They created their own blockchain called Flow, and their blockchain is designed specifically just for NFTs. So like,
Hmm.
yeah, so now what we're starting to see are like blockchains created, like it's kind of like Ethereum's the general purpose blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people are creating blockchains specific for a use case. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what Flow is.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I think that the value for me when it comes to NFTs kind of comes from the amount of security that is put
Mm,
to protect the underlying infrastructure, which which I think currently, well, one of the better protected ones is Ethereum, and especially having in mind these uh, mind-blowing gas fees that are currently being yeah active or yeah
yeah,
being paid there.
I
But
mean, yeah, for me, it's like remembering back in my childhood.
uh-huh,
I'm Canadian, so of course I was trading hockey cards
yeah,
with my friends, and I had like a whole suitcase of hockey cards.
mm-hmm,
So you think of it like logically, yeah, there's a market need there, there's a market demand, and they
mm-hmm,
still use like physical cards. And now with adults, it's
mm-hmm.
they trade art.
Yeah.
You know, so of course, like there's the market psychology, the market need is there. You have to bring it, you have to remove that friction, the friction, and you have to know how to use MetaMask. You know, it has to
Yes.
be retail friendly for the whole, you know, industry to grow. And
Yeah, with that, we're kind of going into the direction of this the trinity, or what is it, like the 3-point issue in general in Bitcoin, which kind of you can only choose 2 out of 3 options, and yeah, one is scalability, one is
right,
decentralization, and I forgot actually what was the third.
security,
I think security.
security.
Yeah, security was
Yeah.
the third one. And I think with these moments, or this NFT dedicated blockchain, you're kind of possibly, I'm not sure, I haven't looked into the details, but possibly you're sacrificing the centralization for these other for scalability, let's say.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
for me personally, I would prefer to have an NFT on a network that I could be to a large extent certain that it will like continue to exist in the next, like, let's say, 50 years. Well, it's very hard to say that any of the blockchains currently in existence will do so,
Mm.
but I would say that there is a good chance that Bitcoin will definitely be alive after 50 years. And there is also a relatively good chance for that to happen with Ethereum. But for these other chains, I think it's very early to say. And I think that like the primary part of the value of this asset is actually that it's going to be protected and available on that blockchain for the next 20 years to 30 years. So I'm not sure, like for this this other blockchain, like what is that? Is it proof of stake? Is it proof
Well,
of work based?
oh, I
Or
haven't really looked at it, but I
yeah.
agree it is, you know, they sacrifice centralization. They're
Hmm.
more centralized,
Hmm.
but I actually argue that that's a very good thing.
Yes.
And the reason I think that is because in order for big brand names, you know,
Yeah.
NBA, like all the, you know,
Hmm.
FIFA, like when is FIFA going to get into it? You know, NBA, you think of every sport, the Olympics, um, and that's just sports. Then I don't know what was the big one, like Pokemon, like all
Yeah.
those, you know, all those kind of things.
And also
They're all
games.
run,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Games and
they're all run by
items.
companies, central corporations, central entities.
Yeah.
These companies, if they're gonna, you know, they're risking their brands, their reputation by
Yeah.
putting their, you know, their assets onto a blockchain.
It's true. Yeah.
You know, so are they going to risk it with um you know, Ethereum, where it's a blockchain of 10,000 computers where they don't know who the people are, and the, yeah,
Hmm.
like, or would they rather go to one central entity, you know, that's been vetted by VC, it's a VC backed,
Hmm.
it's been vetted by multiple people that they trust and know, you know, if
Hmm.
something goes wrong, they know who they can go and talk to. If
Hmm.
something goes wrong on Ethereum, like who, what, you
Yeah.
know, they're going to call Vitalik, like, and even Vitalik.
Yeah.
So in those cases where you have like big mega brands that are run by a company,
Hmm.
that's just a better fit with like a centralized, like sort of in the middle of centralized, decentralized.
Yeah, I agree actually completely. So there is also this other view that if you want mass adoption, then a certain amount of centralization is kind of needed. And
Mm-hmm.
this leads me to a very hot actually discussion, which is related to Binance Smart Chain. I'm not sure if you have like looked at what's happening in crypto Twitter, but PancakeSwap, which is a clone of Uniswap, basically a blatant clone of Uniswap,
Yeah, I saw the source
on
code
Binance Smart
was
Chain, yeah, it reached 1 billion, I think, of value, total value locked
right.
recently, and this spurred a debate about like how does Binance Smart Chain compare to Ethereum? Because I personally tested Binance Smart Chain. Actually, the project that I'm working for currently, we launched a yield farming program today on Binance Smart Chain, and due to that fact, I kind of tested this a number of times, and it really is like working so well. I mean, in the transaction fees are like
Hmm.
17 cents, 30 cents. I think I made more than 6 transactions, and like adding, removing liquidity, and it all cost like $3. But at the
Right.
same time, this entity, Binance Smart Chain, is completely controlled by Binance. There are only 21 validators, and
Yeah.
I think most of them, or possibly all of them, are controlled by Binance. So,
Hmm.
it's kind of, I mean, it's super fast, but a centralized database is also super fast.
Exactly.
But at the same time, users want low taxes, and there is nothing else out there that has the amount of liquidity that Binance Smart Chain has. There are a number of layer two solutions, but they're so fragmented, there are so many of them that
Hmm.
I think that neither of them can attract this user base and liquidity needed to kind of make a difference. So what do you think about this?
I mean, there's quite a lot of things there. Like first, Binance already has like a whole distribution network. Like, they've got a footprint in all over the world, all the,
Yeah,
crypto centers. So they already have a big following. They're
yeah,
kind of like, the Walmart. Like they already have tons of brand recognition, tons of email. Like, so that's one thing. So if company's going to pull it off, it could be them.
hmm,
Um, the other thing is when you say there's $1 billion already like locked
oh
in the contracts,
yeah,
it's
supposedly,
it's a bit of it's a bit of a mirage. I'm sure
yeah,
they hit that number,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a bit of a mirage. And the reason it's a mirage is, why do you think the price of BNB tokens went up so fast? Why do you think the price of, you hit that $1 billion when the price of the tokens go up so fast?
yeah.
So much of BNB, Pancake, all those things. So it's a bit of a mirage, and Ethereum's been doing that a bit too, but it's a lot, it's supported a lot more.
Hmm.
Um, for Binance Smart Chain, yeah, I think there's a good use case for it for more of a retail type person.
Hmm.
There is still like the average person who's not comfortable with like what a private key is, they don't like they can use the buy. It's more retail friendly, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think like 90% of the people in crypto currently, there's new wave of
Hmm.
users coming into crypto. They don't care at all about decentralization.
Exactly.
They just care about the APYs and the
Yep.
returns,
Yeah.
and token appreciation and so on. And this is like, because we're talking about going mainstream, and this is actually the mainstream. So like it or not,
Yeah.
yeah, like this is the mainstream. So I guess Binance Smart Chain will be doing their thing, and whoever is like more maximalistic in his like views on what the blockchain should be, they will
Hmm.
continue using Ethereum. But
And
there are also
this,
a number of other alternatives, and I see here comments for Avalanche chain, but I'm not really familiar with that one, to be honest. I need to have a look at it.
yeah,
Um,
the key thing on that BSC versus Ethereum thing, there's a
mhm.
lot of there's a lot of fighting on Twitter about it. But I think what's important to note is this isn't we're stealing people from one blockchain to another. It's not a vampire attack.
Yeah,
This is just growing the pie. It's bringing more people into the industry, and I
yeah,
see it as a positive.
yeah. Actually, yeah, that's a great way to look at this. Yeah, and I would say yes. That I agree with that definitely. Um, cool. So let me see if I have any other questions. My questions are kind of exhausted. Oh well, yeah. So the question, like my next question was kind of
Mm.
like, what do you think about these layer two solutions? So it's kind of flowing again to scalability. So do you think what do you think about Ethereum 2.0? Like, do you think it will be a success? Like, do you have any rough idea of when it could possibly launch? And yeah, like, what do you think will change? Will it be
Yeah.
the thing that everyone is excited about, like this next generation blockchain?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. I mean, look, they've come this far. Ethereum's
Yeah.
executed on, they've hit them on, they've hit the, built the things they said that we thought could never actually be built.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of faith that they will hit with Ethereum 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Ethereum 2.0 basically solves the problem that why Binance Smart Chain is there, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the gas fees, it's the speed times,
Yeah.
uh, and it's interesting. Well, I mean, with Binance, yeah, they could just build it much faster. They dedicated $100 million to building their system, but with Ethereum 2.0,
Mm-hmm.
wow, yeah, I mean, if it works, it
Mm-hmm.
would proof of stake, but I don't. But the key thing is, I don't think it's that much more centralized.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, that whole talk about scalability, giving up scalability, centralization, security.
Mm-hmm.
If Ethereum 2.0 works as advertised, they might actually have all three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Um,
Um,
I know a lot of people who are kind of who believe that proof of work is actually the way to go, but it might be, yeah, too inefficient for the mainstream, I guess. And yeah, definitely, if Ether point two managed to get proof of stake right, I think this would be, yeah, a major achievement for the entire blockchain space. Um, and I'm personally actually I'm staking some Ether so that I'm personally
and
contributing to this network for the security, I guess, of the
yeah, and
network.
that's a very strong, very, very strong network effect. You
Yeah.
know, in order for like another blockchain to come in and try to compete with that, like
Hmm.
you would have to move thousands of dollars to a whole nother, you know, in stake. What
Yeah.
are we at now? We're at 3
Yeah.
million ETH
Yeah.
is sitting
Locked.
in that contract. That
Hmm.
I don't know how many validated. There's like thousands of validators now.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's almost equivalent to what, 10,000 miners. So you know,
Yeah.
10,000 computers around. So
Hmm.
you know, that's a very, very difficult, strong network effect to build. And you know, that, yeah, it might
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, I think the network effect is super important, definitely, and it's hard for me to imagine how a different network will be able to kind of to beat that. But you know what I think was going to happen is that at one point, and we can already see that um, there will be this interconnectedness between all chains.
Mm,
And I think a number of projects are working to make this happen. And this is kind of, for me, the natural state of things. So you don't have to be on Ethereum, or you can be on Ethereum for certain use cases, but you can be on something else for other use cases. So the specialization, which we spoke about. And you know, Ethereum will have shards, but I think some of these other projects, they will become Ethereum shards in a way. So, and we can also already see this with these bridges being built between
yeah,
protocols. And I think this is going to progress significantly in the next months. And at the end, we're gonna have one global blockchain network with some parts which are Ethereum, others are Polkadot, and so forth and so on. And this is a good thing. I think this is a good thing.
certainly.
Um, yeah.
I equate it back, like I always explain it to people like similar to the internet, you know, because people don't know this or don't remember this. You know, there was a time on the internet when there was no HTTPS. You know, so they're like, how would an Amazon.com survive if there's no encryption of your credit card? You know,
Yeah.
somebody could just see your credit. You know, now it was like that for years.
Yeah.
Until HTTPS was invented, and then the e-commerce stores could thrive a bit more. The same thing, with the Netflix.
Yeah.
Before Netflix, Blockbuster advertised that, oh, hey, we are now going to put videos on the internet.
Yeah.
But that can never work until you had broadband. Until you had wires laid in the ground and people were getting faster internet. So the same thing going back now. Yeah, the big issue is like speed, gas, and it's eventually going to get figured out.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, great. So just final question, actually, from my side, and then we can ask the audience this question that can get them
Oh,
a free copy of the Mastering Blockchain book.
Digital copy.
Yeah, digital, of course, digital copy.
Yeah.
So do you have so the first one is, do you have a favorite DeFi project? And the second one is like, what is the thing that you most hate about DeFi?
Okay. Let me look at my phone to see which tokens I've been following, just to
Yeah,
remind me.
exactly. So if you can give us a list of which DeFi tokens or tokens in general you're following, that would be, I think, very useful. We have a lot of traders in our group.
Oh yeah. I mean, Flow is a big one. If Flow is it's not DeFi. It's the the NFT thing from
Yeah.
But another one that's no one's really talking about, which is brand new, is Torn. Have you heard of Torn? Yeah, so it's Tornado Cash. Tornado Cash is actually a mixer. It's the mixer on Ethereum.
Yeah.
They launched their token a couple months ago. And they're not really listed yet. So, but the thing is, like, they actually, it's got a real value proposition. It's got it hasn't been listed yet. It's got lots of crypto locked in their contracts. And it's already built a strong network effect.
Yeah.
So,
and it's that's the thing. So do you think are actually, because I'm not very familiar with Tornado Cash, but are there like the founders of that project, are they known? Because I think that they are kind of yeah, definitely in some
they care a lot about privacy.
Okay.
As you can imagine.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing like a YouTube video like a year ago when I think, because ZK Snarks, Tornado Cash runs on ZK Snarks. So I think they're like one of the guys who founded it, presented it at some meetup, the concept. Other than that, no, I think, yeah, they're on GitHub. Like their names are in the GitHub repos. It's just no one's really talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I think the general opinion of people is about Tornado Cash is that primarily used for illegal activities, and maybe it is, but I guess the main value proposition there is that you can obfuscate your tracks just as on a personal level, I guess, so that people don't know which like how much Ether, for example, you have on your wallet. So there is also like a real world, like a non-criminal use case, but its existence is also kind of stimulating in a way, some of these exploits to happen. But I think I'm not sure how it's functioning, but I guess it's a smart contract, so it's not much that law enforcement or anyone else can do to stop it. So it's just an element from the ecosystem, and it has a real value proposition, as you mentioned. So I think it's not much you can do about it, or anyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in terms, go ahead.
So, but when it comes to like pure DeFi, like you mentioned Compound previously, and that was the first DeFi app that I actually used, and I was really once I used it, I was really hooked to DeFi.
Yeah, then you get it. It's kind of like you don't really get DeFi until you've taken out some kind of loan and
Yeah.
then learn about, oh, how does it get liquidated? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how does the liquidation process happen if there's no person involved? Like, there's no central entity to well, no, it's a community, so that's how you keep it decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
But until you actually go and do that, you won't get it.
Yeah. And so did you use an app like that, or was it?
Uh, Actually, it was research for writing the book.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Like
So maybe it
Unis,
was Uniswap, I guess then.
yeah, it was Uniswap,
Uh,
compounds. We actually, so we have a chapter on our chapter on DeFi talks about flash loans,
Yeah.
and we break down how actually the flash loan hack of BZX happened.
Yeah.
And by going through that whole process, you get to see all the different mechanics of, like Uniswap is involved. I think Kyber was involved.
Yeah.
I mean, BZX is a DeFi platform on its own.
Yeah.
And then learning what a flash loan is, like that is just,
Yeah.
especially for people that do arbitraging.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it,
yeah, a lot of it was just actually just doing research on, on the book.
yeah, interesting. And yeah, flash loans really demonstrate what composability is in DeFi, how each app can connect to each other, like to a different
Well,
app, or could they use the liquidity from one app in a different app. So how everything's connected. Um,
there's that, but the interesting thing was, back in 2017, 2015, I was doing some arbitrage. Like,
mhm,
I would move a little bit of money from the US to Canada and I'd get like a 13% spread, right? But in order to, like, that doesn't scale. It only scales if I can get more liquidity, more money.
yeah, yeah,
But now with flash loans, I don't need to risk, but like, I don't need to get millions of dollars from investors to put in an exchange that could shut down the next day or get hacked.
yeah,
So remove all those risks.
yeah.
And yeah, so that to me is like probably the biggest, most powerful thing of the flash loans
Yeah.
is you instantly, just as a developer, you write some code, you write a smart contract, you instantly have access to hundreds of millions of dollars of liquidity.
Yeah, yeah, flash loans. It's a really interesting concept. Definitely, if you guys who are like listening, have a look into have a look into flash loans. Most of the exploits or hacks were based on flash
Mm.
loans recently, and some of them were super well executed, like really brilliant
Oh yeah.
ways of like manipulating this. Composability and the different imperfections in the code of DeFi projects. Really amazing stuff. Okay, so finally, what is the thing that you most hate about DeFi, that you don't like and you want changed? Possibly the fact that it's not really D at this point. Yeah, there's like most of the projects have admin keys, but I guess this is also a work in progress
I
as
mean,
scalability. But yeah.
to me, it's like that element that we saw in the ICO world of just like pure scams coming in and doing ICOs.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of that coming into DeFi also.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, other things. I mean, I really do like the innovation.
Mm-hmm. But I think
Yeah,
it's impossible to get this level of innovation, but not get the dark side of it, which is
yeah.
these scammers coming in and like trying to fool people. At least fool the people that were not part of the previous bull
Um,
run and the ICO craze.
yeah. I guess another thing is from a developer's mentality. So by trade, I'm a developer by code. Um, and I think we mentioned this in the book somewhere. Developers in 2.0, like Web 2.0, building websites, you're building for speed. Move fast and break things. That's the motto, right? Just get it out there, whatever, it's not 100%. As a developer coming from 2.0 to 3.0, building smart contracts, not only is it immutable, but then people are throwing tons of money into it. And so that's why there's such a big playground for hackers to just go in and exploit this stuff. So I guess that's one of the big things. And again, this is where the education comes in, is trying to adjust the mentality of developers. No longer is it move fast and break things. It's, okay, write your code fast, then get it to a Zeppelin to do an audit. You know?
Yeah, and I think also make sure that it's well audited, but also don't try to complicate things too much, because like complex code is I think it's
expensive
insecure
gas.
code. Yeah.
And expensive gas.
And also expensive in terms of gas. So okay, so for so in order to select the winners for this digital copy of the Mastering Blockchain book, I'm gonna ask a question, and the first people who actually provide an answer in the Facebook post under this video, under this live stream actually, will get a free copy. So in order, if you are the winner, and I'll tell you by sending you a message, you need to provide me with an email address, and your digital copy will be sent to that address, or at least a link will be sent to the digital copy or something like that. But so okay, so are you ready for the question? And I hear a lot of yeses. So the question is, what is the name of the 5th chapter of the Mastering Blockchain book? Okay, so the first 4 people who managed to answer this question and put the answer there as a comment under the announced live stream will get a digital copy. So yeah, looking forward to your answers, guys. And yeah, that's all from me and Lorne. I think it was a super interesting discussion, and I'm super grateful to Lorne joining us at the middle of the night, actually, where he is. I think now it's 2 a.m. in the morning.
2 a.m.
So yeah, so really appreciate it for being here. And actually, there is already, you have a thanks from the audience for the alpha leak of Tornado Cash.
Oh yeah.
So they find this interesting. Cool, and thank you very much. And I will definitely have a look at the book myself, and perhaps I might be sharing some stuff with the community from that book, because I can see that it has a lot of useful information in. So again, thank you very much for joining our little community here. And yeah, great. I hope the book is even bigger success than it already is.
Great, thanks for having me. Okay, I can't do the. It's a lot harder in Bulgarian, Bulgarian the thank you, but
yeah.
Yeah, so the books. Yeah. Wait, what was that?
It's blagodaria. It's thank you in Bulgarian.
Yeah, that's it. And so yeah, books Mastering Blockchain, and then the analytics tool is www.breadcrumbs.app.
Cool. I'll share these links. Actually, I already shared those links as a description of the event, but I will share them as well. And great. Yeah, thank you very much for this, and see you around. And
yeah, absolutely.
Crypto.
Take care.
Bye bye.
To the moon.
To the moon.
There you go.
Okay, so the live video ended.
Okay, you're still recording. Got it.
So we're still recording, but yeah. So again, super thankful.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was a very interesting discussion. I think we covered a lot of ground with it, lots of different questions. And yeah, we had more than 45 people watching.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and I see now answers coming in about like what is the title.
Tokenize everything.
It's tokenize everything. So yeah, now I can see 2 replies already. So awesome. Cool. All right. So I don't want to keep you any longer. Please and actually send me the links that you want me to share, and I'll actually share them again with the community. And yeah, have a nice break and a good night. Yes.
Sounds great. Yeah. If you know of any other like meetups, I'd be happy to speak at them.
Perfect. Yeah.
What else? I'll send you the links. Yeah, I just need email addresses
Yeah.
or whoever needs the thing.
Cool.
And yeah, this is great.
Thank
I'm glad it
you.
worked out for you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was super nice. One of the better Sofia Crypto meetups actually. So I'm pretty happy.
Thanks. Yeah, it's for me also, it's nice to speak to people,
Yeah.
who are at that level. Like we
Yeah.
can, we've been around kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I've been around for like since the end of
Yeah,
2013, so I've
I can
went
tell,
through
I can tell.
so much stuff. So yeah, but yeah, it's ever since I got into Bitcoin, I decided that this is going to be like this is the area in which I want to focus. It's super disciplinary, and
Mm,
has so much into it, like technology and politics and philosophy,
yeah,
sociology, economics,
psychology. Yeah.
finance. Everything is into that thing. So at first it was just um, like a hobby, a side hobby, and at one point it became like a profession for me. And yeah, I really love it. I don't want to be anywhere else. So yeah. And I can see that kind of the same thing happened with you. It kind of happened like even earlier. So
Yeah.
nice. Great.
Great.
Cool. Okay. So as I said,
Okay.
thanks
Yeah.
and see you around.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Have a good one. Bye.